friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky DIY, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Manitoba, Canada. Today we're tackling the basics of heat embossing. I had this question not too long ago with what is the proper technique and how do you get started? And really, it is super easy and really a lot of fun, and it's a technique that gives a lot of wow to your project. All you need is a Versamark or watercolor pad. A water-based pad works well because it stays wet long enough for you to get the embossing powder onto it. I like Versamark as well. You need an embossing buddy. It's just a little pouch that's filled with powder that combats static cling and also covers up any oils that might be on the paper from your fingers. You need a stamp, your embossing powder, heat tool, and a little brush just to get rid of any powder that might not be exactly where you want it. So we're just going to rub our embossing buddy over. Now the buddy is available in the embossing toolkit. And you can see I'm just holding it with the very tip of my finger. I'm doing that because I know that my stamp does not fit right down at that corner. So then we're going to ink up. It's a little hard sometimes to see, especially if you're inking with Versamark because it is clear and it doesn't show up on the stamp, but it does show up quite easily and lovely on the paper. So we're just going to center it roughly, and then we're just going to give it a push down. And lift up, and you can see our image is on our cardstock. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave it like this and have a watercolor look. Just about sent my embossing powder flying. I like to keep my embossing powder in little containers. I find it a little bit easier to manage and a little bit less messy. She says, hoping that she doesn't actually spill the embossing powder all over the place today. That has happened. Okay, and then you just want to tap off any excess. You can be a little bit deliberate in your tapping off because where you've got the Versamark applied, your embossing powder will stay stuck. I'm just going to bring this back, and I do notice that I have some across the edge. So all I'm going to do is take my brush and basically make sure all of our edges are clean. I'm going to put this down, cover this up so it doesn't go all over the place. And I like to move it out of the way because the heat does melt it, and I don't want to accidentally melt what's in the container. Now, you can hold this any way that you want. Embossing tool can get hot quickly, so you might want to hold it with a pair of pliers or a pair of tweezers, or just hold a corner of your project and direct the heat away. So you can see as it's starting to melt, you can see the shine. I keep my heat tool moving. If you do stay in one spot too long, you can, although it's not a great chance, you can scorch the paper or the embossing powder. And once it's melted, you're good to go. Now I just want to make sure that all of my area is shiny. There's a little bit of dull there. And now we're just going to make sure that everybody is done. Second guessing myself on that spot. And there's our stamped image complete. Now I do have a card base here. We're just going to trim up our image and complete our card. I really was drawn to the green, or Evening Evergreen is a shade of this green, and the gold, because I was kind of in the mind of a bit of a St. Patrick's card as I was deciding what I was going to do today. And then we're just going to cut a little bit off of each side. Your cardstock might feel a little bit gritty if there's any unmelted embossing powder on it. Not a huge big deal. And then we're just going to grab this guy. And our card base. Now I'm not going to put a sentiment on it because I'm not 100% sure yet who this card is intended for, but it will have a sentiment before I send it out. And I just really wanted to show you how quick and beautiful heat embossing can be. As always, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time. Be sure to hit subscribe down below so you're notified every single time a brand new video goes live. And I'll see you again soon. Have a great day.